called
Senator
for.
Sanders, I just want to show the audience, you sent a tweet. I want to return to trade. You sent a tweet on Thursday. This is the tweet. I'm showing it to the viewers. It said, the people of Detroit know the real costs of Hillary Clinton's free trade policies. It shows pictures of crumbling buildings. It seems like you're blaming her for the situation in Detroit.
I am blaming the trade policies. You know, this is an amazing thing, which I didn't know until recently. And I wonder how many people did know this.
But you're calling them Hillary Clinton's free trade policies.
Well, Hillary Clinton and everybody else who supported these disastrous trade policies, she wasn't alone. We had many, many Republicans and far too many Democrats who supported these disastrous trade policies. Do you know that in 1960, Detroit, Michigan was one of the wealthiest cities in America? Flint, Michigan was a prosperous city. But then what happened is corporate America said, why do I want to pay somebody in Michigan a living wage when I could pay slave wages in Mexico or China? We're going to shut down. We're going to move abroad. We're going to bring those products back into this country. Those trade policies, as much as any other set of policies, has resulted in the shrinking of the American middle class. And I'll tell you what else it did. It's not only job loss by the millions. It is the race to the bottom so that new jobs in manufacturing, in some cases today, pay 50% less than they did 20 years ago. How stupid is that trade policy?
Well,
Secretary Clinton.
you know, if we're going to argue about the 1990s instead of talking about the future, which I'd much prefer because I think every election is about the future and you all deserve to know what we will do to help you have a brighter future. But if we are going to talk about the 1990s, I think it's only fair to say that at the end of the 1990s, after 2 terms of my husband's presidency, the unemployment rate in Michigan was 4.4%. There had been a net increase of 54,000 manufacturing jobs. There had been a net increase of 653,000 jobs overall. And one of the ways jobs were brought to and grown here in Michigan was through something called the Export-Import Bank, which helped a lot of businesses, particularly small businesses, be able to export around the world. Senator Sanders opposes that. I think we're in a race for exports. I think China, Germany, everybody else supports their businesses. Here in Michigan, there's been $11 billion in recent years used to support exports, primarily from small businesses. I favor that. He's opposed it. I want to do everything I can for us to compete and win in the global economy.
Sanders, just one more. I just want to explain,
as president.
I just want to explain to viewers what the Export-Import Bank is, in case everybody is not quite as wonkish as all of us on the stage here. The Export-Import Bank, it's a federal agency. It gives loans to companies that export American products. Senator Sanders, you do oppose it. The vast majority of the bank's customers are small businesses, 176 right here in Michigan. What do you say to small business owners who rely on the banks to make their companies profitable?
I'll tell you what I say. Do you know what the other name of the Export-Import Bank is, what it's called in Washington? It's called the Bank of Boeing, because Boeing itself gets 40% of the money discharged by the Export-Import Bank. 75% of the funds going for the federal government, the Export-Import Bank, goes to large, profitable corporations. Many of these corporations have shut down in America and have gone abroad to exploit poor people. You know what? I don't think it's a great idea for the American taxpayer to have to subsidize through corporate welfare profitable corporations who downsize in the United States of America. 75% of that money goes to large, profitable corporations.
Senator Sanders, though, you were the only member of the Democratic caucus to vote against it. You're agreeing with Senator Ted Cruz on this. Why is he right and the Democrats wrong?
Well, let me tell you, I don't want to break the bad news. Democrats are not always right. Democrats have often supported corporate welfare. Democrats have supported disastrous trade agreements. But on this issue, I do not believe in corporate welfare. And in fact, Secretary Clinton may know or not know that as a member of the Financial Services Committee, I worked very hard and successfully to make sure that at least 20% of the money went to small businesses, which is where it should go, not to profitable corporations downsizing our country.
Secretary Clinton?
Well, when I traveled around the world on your behalf as Secretary of State, went to 112 countries, one thing I saw everywhere was how European countries, Asian countries were supporting their companies back in their countries to be able to make sales and contracts in a lot of the rest of the world. In fact, without the Export-Import Bank supporting businesses of all sizes, I believe more jobs would be lost here at home. More jobs literally would be exported. Instead of exporting products, we would be exporting jobs. I just believe that Senator Sanders, he took that lonely position because most of us who saw the results, I saw it as a senator from New York. Your senators saw it here in Michigan. They can give you the names of the 240 companies in Michigan that have been helped. There's a company in Livonia that is being helped. There's companies all over this state. And I know if we're going to compete and win in the global economy, we can't let every other country support their companies and we take a hands-off approach.
I'm going to let you respond. I'm going to let you respond, but I just want to push back on this. Senator Sanders is correct. The majority of this money from this bank does go to Boeing, goes to companies like Caterpillar. Do they really need this money?
I'll tell you what, Anderson. After I investigated it, I concluded that they did, and here's why. There are two big plane manufacturers in the world. There's Airbus and there's Boeing. Airbus does everything it can to get contracts to sell planes everywhere in the world. We don't have as quite an aggressive outreach from our government. I did go in many places around the world to sell American products because the alternatives were usually European, Asian, primarily Chinese products. That, to me, was an unacceptable concession. So, yes, Boeing and other big companies get support just like their competitors do from the companies that they are from in the countries that provide the support.
Thank you. Thank you, Senator Sanders.
Isn't it tragic that these large multinational corporations making billions of dollars a year, shutting down in America, going to China, going to Mexico. Oh, absolutely, they need a handout from the American middle class. I don't think so. Second of all,